We enter marriage with our deepest hopes for companionship, for love, for a partnership that feels like coming home. It is one of humanity's oldest and most sacred institutions. But in our modern, hyper-public, and status-obsessed world, a new script has emerged, one where the walk down the aisle can also be a calculated climb up a social ladder. This isn't about love fading over time. This is about love being sidelined from the very beginning. We're talking about the strategic marriage, a partnership where attraction is secondary to access, where vows are a gateway to validation, influence, and control. It's a transaction dressed in romance, and it's becoming a recognizable pattern in our culture. Right now, no story captures the explosive collision of these two ideas, sacred union versus social strategy, more than the public narrative surrounding commentator Charlie Kirk and his wife Erica. Their story, as perceived by a significant portion of the public, has become a flashpoint. It presents a sequence that reads like a thriller, a prominent voice, a sudden tragedy, a swift transfer of institutional power to the spouse, and a purge of internal dissent. For many, this isn't just a personal tragedy. It's a perfect, real-time case study in the ultimate marriage ladder theory, where the strategic endgame isn't just a wealthy lifestyle, but the keys to an entire empire. This video is not an indictment of any individual. It is an analysis of a powerful, unsettling public narrative. We will use this prominent example to unpack the broader blueprint of the strategic marriage, its psychology, its playbook, and the profound damage it leaves in its wake, to trust, to legacy, and to our very faith and authentic connection. We're here to understand the pattern so we can better protect ourselves from ever becoming a target within it. To understand the pattern, we must first examine the specific story that has come to define it for so many. The public narrative surrounding Charlie and Erica Kirk is not a single allegation, but a sequence of perceptions that, when strung together, form what believers see as a revealing blueprint. The timeline in the public eye begins with a rapid ascent. Charlie Kirk, as the founder and loudest voice of Turning Point USA, represented more than a person. He was an institution, a movement, and a platform of immense cultural influence. His relationship with and marriage to Erica Kirk was, by its nature, a merger with that platform. For observers, the question became, was this a merger of hearts or a merger of assets and access? The perception solidified with what is seen as the catalytic event, Kirk's sudden death. For a movement built around his specific voice and vision, this was an existential shock. The official explanations, for some, left unanswered questions, creating a vacuum. Into that vacuum of grief and confusion flowed a powerful alternative narrative, that his stance on certain issues made him a target, and his death was not a random tragedy, but a deliberate removal. This is where the narrative turns from loss to what is perceived as a strategic consolidation. In the aftermath, Erica Kirk assumed the role of chairman of TPUSA. For an organization in crisis, this could be seen as stability, but for those who suspect foul play, it appeared as step one in a takeover. This perception was intensified by subsequent reports, vigorously debated and sourced from internal leaks, that employees who questioned the circumstances of Kirk's death were dismissed. The public logic, then, forms a devastating closed loop. A powerful man is allegedly removed for his beliefs. His spouse, suspected by some of prior emotional distance or ambition, assumes control of his life's work. She then silences the very people demanding answers about him. For believers, this isn't a coincidence. It's a confirmation. It paints the entire prior relationship as a long-term strategy, where the marriage was the vehicle, and the ultimate payoff was institutional control. This case study is powerful because it connects intimate betrayal to public organizational conquest. It transforms the marriage ladder theory from a metaphor about social climbing into an alleged literal playbook for legacy capture. Whether one believes this narrative or not, its existence and resonance tell us something critical about our deep-seated fears regarding trust, power, and what people are truly capable of in the pursuit of both. The Kirk narrative, whether entirely accurate or not, provides a stark framework. It allows us to extrapolate and identify the common phases of what we're calling the strategic marriage playbook. This is the operational blueprint that transforms a relationship from a private bond into a public ascension tool. Phase 1, target acquisition and assessment. This isn't about finding a soulmate, it's about identifying a high-value asset. The target is almost always a person of significant influence, a thought leader, entrepreneur, or public figure. The assessment criteria are coldly practical. What is the reach of their platform? How stable is their institution? What is their network worth? The initial attraction is to the ecosystem surrounding the person, not the individual core. Phase 2, rapid integration and trust building. Once the target is acquired, the strategist moves with deliberate speed to become indispensable. This involves a deep study of the target's world, aligning with their mission publicly and ingratiating themselves with their inner circle. The goal is to create a seamless merge, making their presence feel like a natural, supportive extension of the target's life and work, thereby building unshakable institutional and personal trust. Phase 3, positional entrenchment. This is the critical, legal, and organizational groundwork. It may involve securing formal roles within the partner's organization, intertwining finances, or ensuring that public and legal documents position the spouse as the obvious successor or primary beneficiary. The relationship is no longer just personal, it is now structurally embedded into the architecture of the target's professional empire. Phase 4, the catalytic event and transition. This is the unforeseeable yet prepared for moment of transfer, whether through death, scandal, or incapacitation. For the strategist, preparation meets opportunity. They activate the succession plans laid in Phase 3. The public faces a fait accompli. Due to their entrenched position, the spouse is the only logical, immediate successor to maintain stability, regardless of the community's private doubts. Phase 5, legacy consolidation and narrative control. With control secured, the final phase is about rewriting the story and silencing dissent. This involves steering the institution in a new direction, often justifying it as modernization, while methodically removing loyalists who represent the old guard or who challenge the new narrative. The strategic marriage is now complete. The personal relationship was the vehicle, and total institutional control is the destination. This playbook reveals a terrifying truth. In such a scenario, love is not the foundation. It is the most effective camouflage for a long-term, patient acquisition strategy. A playbook is just a set of actions. To understand why someone would follow it and why a target might not see it coming, we must dive beneath the behavior into the psychological undercurrents that make such a strategic marriage possible. This is where human nature meets calculated ambition. First, the mind of the strategist. This is not typically a mustache-twirling villain, but often someone driven by a profound, void-like need for validation, significance, or security that they believe can only be filled externally, by status, wealth, or power. Their empathy may be instrumental. They can expertly simulate deep care because they have studied it as a tool for social navigation, not experienced it as an organic connection. Their primary relationship is with the objective, not the person. Conversely, we have the blind spots of the target. High-achieving, mission-driven individuals are often vulnerable, not despite their strengths, but because of them. Their focus is external, on changing the world, building an organization, winning a debate. This can make them emotionally inattentive to the nuanced dynamics of their private life. Furthermore, a strategist's mirroring is exceptionally flattering. They reflect back an idealized, supportive version of the target's own self-image. Who would question the person who seems to understand and champion your life's work so perfectly? This creates a dangerous trust shortcut. Then there's the psychology of the community. When a catalytic event occurs, people experience cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort of holding two conflicting ideas. Our leader was wise and strong, and our leader was utterly fooled in his most intimate relationship. It is often psychologically easier for followers to believe in a vast external conspiracy, a shadowy assassination, than to accept the more intimate, humiliating betrayal that their icon was deceived by someone they brought into their bed in their boardroom. The grand conspiracy theory can be a subconscious defense mechanism against the painful vulnerability of the personal betrayal. Finally, the act of narrative seizure, like firing questioners, is a power move that exploits a fundamental human instinct, the desire for order and certainty after a crisis. A new leader providing clear, authoritative answers, even if they are silencing dissent, can be paradoxically comforting. It creates a new, simpler story. The past is settled. This is the way forward. This closes the cognitive loop for many, allowing the strategic narrative to become the accepted institutional truth. Understanding these psychological drivers isn't about excusing behavior, it's about building immunity. It reveals that the ultimate weapon in the strategist's arsenal is not cunning alone, but a deep understanding of human vulnerability, the need to be seen, the desire for a legacy, and the comfort of a clear story in a chaotic world. This case study extends far beyond one story. It illuminates universal vulnerabilities and provides critical lessons for institutions, individuals, and our culture. We must move from understanding the pattern to building defenses against it. First, institutional safeguards. Organizations built around a charismatic founder are particularly at risk. Robust governance, like independent boards, clear succession plans ratified by multiple stakeholders, and transparent financial controls, isn't bureaucratic red tape. It is a bulwark against personal takeover. It ensures an organization's mission outlives its founder and cannot be unilaterally redirected by a single successor, regardless of their relationship to the founder. For individuals, especially those with public influence, awareness is the first shield. This involves cultivating relational discernment. Key questions must become routine. Is this person interested in my purpose or just my platform? Do our private interactions have substance, or is our relationship primarily a public performance? It requires valuing time, allowing a relationship to prove its authenticity in private without the pressure of rapid public escalation or professional entanglement. Culturally, the normalization of such narratives speaks to a deep crisis of trust. When strategic marriages are perceived as a viable, even savvy life strategy, it corrodes the foundational belief that love can be authentic and selfless. It breeds cynicism, making every power couple suspect and every private tragedy a potential public conspiracy. Recognizing the pattern is not about paranoia, it's about principled vigilance. The goal is not to avoid partnership, but to build partnerships where the mission is shared, the power is balanced, and the love is rooted in mutual respect for the person, not just their position. It's about ensuring that our closest relationships make us more authentic, not more vulnerable. The strategic marriage blueprint reveals a darkened version of human connection. Love as a means to power, rather than power as a means to protect love. The public narrative we've examined serves as a stark cautionary tale, a mirror held up to our deepest anxieties about trust and ambition in the modern age. The ultimate takeaway is not cynicism, but clarity. We must champion a return to first principles. A genuine partnership is not a merger of assets, but a fusion of purpose. It is a private sanctuary where vulnerability is strength, not a liability to be exploited. Its value is measured not in social capital accrued, but in mutual growth fostered. For individuals of influence, this means letting mission be your filter and integrity your non-negotiable standard. Build with those who see you, not just your stage. For all of us, it means valuing depth over dazzle and substance over strategy in our relationships. Let this discussion fortify your discernment, not diminish your hope for real connection. In a world that often rewards performance, the most radical act is to choose authenticity. In love, in partnership, and in legacy, choose to build something real,